Okay guys, brilliant first two games, already qualified for the knockouts. Now, I don't want to break your momentum because pre-tournament as well, we're in really good form, but some of you do look quite tired. So I'm going to rest you against the Netherlands. You can go get some Makju. There's lots of good Makju places here. And what I want the rest of you to do is make the most of this chance against the Netherlands. If we draw this game, we qualify top, but you first teamers, I'm going to give you a good rest here going into the second round. We're in a perfect scenario. It's all going Millhouse. Let's keep it up and keep going deeper in this World Cup.
Party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 103 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with Cashmere Technical. And coming up today, it's part 2 of the 2034 FIFA World Cup. We're going to start off with our last game in Group F where we take on the Netherlands, thankfully already qualified for the second round, and then we'll play that second round game and see who that will be against. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But yesterday made our way through the first part of this World Cup, our first two games in Group F against both the Ivory Coast and Iraq. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner, which will kind of spoil what went on, because as you can see, a big win first up, 3-1 over the Pot 1 nation in the Ivory Coast, and that 3-0 win over Iraq off the back of that, despite the fact Ryan Billingsley did get a first half red card. That did mean that we have already qualified with a game in hand, and the same applies to the Netherlands as they picked up wins exactly like us over Iraq and the Ivory Coast, albeit not by as big a margin. So we come to this one actually on top of the group, and a draw from this game would mean for the first time we'd go through as a top qualifier. That could be quite useful in terms of getting an easier opponent potentially in that second round of the FIFA World Cup. But I'd like to think we should be one of the stronger second seeds anyway, so hopefully that means we might avoid a first seed from a different group, and hopefully that's how it works, considering that of course some teams that finish third in their group these days, they go through. So hopefully lots of first seeds will take on those teams, and we might go through as one of the better second seeds and take on one of the other teams who finish second in their group if we do not pick up a win against the Netherlands, which might happen because I think I'm going to rest some key players going into this game, having wrapped up qualification during the course of yesterday's episode. Obviously, no Ryan Billingsley with that red card, so it does mean we're pretty light at centre-back. This is the team that I'm going to go with for this game here, where we take on the Netherlands. Some players still not on a full green heart, but I do think we want to save up our first teamers or whoever we do get in the second rounds. As you can see, lots of rotation for this game. The only first teamers in there, Alex Paulson, Lucas Kelly, Hill Kakache, because of course he missed that first game of the tournament as we were giving him a rest. And also we've got Josh Pickering at left wing, because he's been quite low in terms of his workload so far in this tournament as well. But apart from that, all the other players starting are rotation players, and even Anto Bratic at centre-back, not a usual centre-back usually, is the third choice, and behind Bell and Louis Evans in that ball-wing midfield role. So we are playing things quite safe here for this last game of the group, but as I said, if we can just manage a draw, that would be enough for us to go through as the top qualifier. But even then, we're already going through. Hopefully don't get too big a team in the second round and might get a chance to make our way yet again into the round of 16 and potentially into the quarterfinals. And we have taken on the Netherlands before in a World Cup. It was all the way back, I believe, the first time we went to a World Cup, we lost 3-0. Hopefully that won't happen here. And to be fair, I think the Netherlands have been on the slide since we did take them on back then. These days, they are 14th in the world. They have a bit of a rise off the back of their first two games at this World Cup. And to be fair, that's also the case with us these days. We are ranked 31st in the world, having previously been down in 38th. Those wins in particular over the Ivory Coast as well as Iraq have helped us nearly make our way into the top 30. But the Netherlands did deal to us last time we took them on at a World Cup, but that was a long time ago. I think we've got some better depth here these days with the All Whites, albeit they might not see it in this game, because we're going to save some of those players up, as you saw, for the second round. But it's time to play this last game of the group not too much riding on it, but hopefully we might be able to hold on for a draw and go through as a top qualifier as we take on the Dutch. And here are the team sheets for this last game of Group F. There in the Netherlands, they are going with a 4-3-3. Can see there are a couple of new gens who don't have in-game faces yet, so they're definitely getting to that stage of the save. We probably don't need to look at team sheets at these World Tournaments for too much longer, but we also come into this one in some pretty good form, albeit as you saw before, pretty heavy rotation with the second round in mind, but hopefully can still grab something out of this game to qualify on top of the group. And it hasn't taken long for the first highlight of this game, just 2 minutes and it's a free kick here in our favour. And Lucas Cully-Hill plays that one for Staminic, and now Josh Pickering actually makes his way forward looking there for someone inside the box. Might have been there Chris Jones at right wing, but unfortunately for Bruggen in goal, does come in and claim that one for the Orange men, the Dutch here in this last game of the group. Both teams already guaranteed to be going through, so it should be a fairly relaxed atmosphere about this game. But average there from Kakache of all people, trying to tackle that off of Sinte, and then Victor Sono gets beaten there by Luturel Omo. That's a bit of a surprise considering we played Sono at centre back yesterday with that red card to Billingsley, because he's a big lad, 1.9 metres tall, so really shouldn't be getting beaten in the air, but that's what happens. Bit disappointing there from both our wing backs. To be fair, good header into that top left corner, and we go 1-0 down early. Albeit only a few minutes on from the opening goal. Now we're down the other end here for a throw-in. Victor Sono gets that one back and now tries to float this one far post looking for Josh Pickering. Very similar chance, but unfortunately for Bruggen gets a touch on that to just keep it out. We get goal line technology. Don't think we need it. Decent save there from the Dutch goalkeeper to make sure they hold that 1-0 lead. And we just made our way into the last 10 minutes of this first half. Pretty quiet off the back of those opening couple of highlights. Now there's a corner here to the Dutch. Thankfully, we can head that one away, and Javi makes his way inside the box. Might have been handball there, and then Jones pushes him in the back. I think hopefully that was outside the box. Otherwise, this would be a very soft penalty to give away. If it's handball, that's pretty clear cut. But Jones here, I think, might be at fault with that push in the back. But thankfully, VAR is on our side. We'll encourage us to hopefully make sure no highlight from that free kick. And thankfully, that is the case still. 1-0 down, about to make our way into just the 1 minute of added time. That was quick. That's what she said. And that is the score at halftime. To be fair, we are creating chances. You've seen a couple of them. Big chance there to Pickering off the back of that opening goal. Unfortunately, couldn't quite beat Verbruggen at his near post like Ommel did to Paulson before. But be fair, that was the fault of our wing backs. So 1-0 down. And we do have some first teamers out there I would like to give a rest to going into this second half. So first off, going to take off here Joe Bell, seeing as he's on a yellow card. Because of that, we'll give some game time to Tyler Binder, and Anto Bratic can go forward into the more familiar ball-winning midfield role. Also, we'll take off here Josh Pickering, and that will be for Jacob Hall-Jones. Just make sure that he's nice and fresh for the second round. Other first teamers out there, Kakache, so Cody Phoenix can come on for him. And also Jamie Kelly in central attacking midfielders struggling a little bit, so Jamie Young can come on for one half of football. Hopefully all those changes might help us get something out of this game and qualify top of the group. Hopefully make our task in the second round a little bit easier, as currently we're 1-0 down. And it's not going to take long into the second half at all here for us to make our last substitution, because Victor Sono is down to a red heart. Martin Darman not quite on a full green one, but let's get some fresh legs out there with still 40 minutes left. And we're just about to make our way into the last 20 minutes of this game. So far, the second half has been up to pretty much nothing for us here with this all-whites team. So because of that, going to change some stuff here. We're going to put Chris Jones onto attack. Also, go a bit wider, shorter passing. Let's also distribute to fullbacks as well and just see if that might help us get on the front foot a little bit more as we search for an equaliser. And it's taken a while, but eventually a highlight here in the second half, just shy of making our way into the last 10 minutes. A corner here to the Netherlands. It comes off the woodwork, but for some reason, we don't clear it. Anto Bratic is not having a good game at all. He's a bit of a concern now that Joe Bell's retiring off the back of this tournament. But now it's time for us to go full out attack to hopefully try and grab something from this game. But it's looking like we might go through it as the second qualifier out of Group F, because the Netherlands there make the most of a really poor touch there from Anto Bratic. Just going to full send it here. As many players as possible on attack. And we're going to bust out Liberos at centre back. See if that works like it's done in previous World Cups. But this is a pretty rubbish goal to concede. Header there from Ommel. It beats Paulson. Comes off the woodwork. But then Bratic with a great assist there for Gertruda, who puts it away. and now we might be in trouble if we want to top this group, as we're 2-0 behind. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to make the most here of a chance to top the group, albeit that was expected considering didn't have an eye on the second round with our team selection for this game. And a late highlight here for the Netherlands. Ommel, who's caused us problems in this game, really had a big hand in both games. Switches that one out there to Lizeman down the right-hand side. And that one finds its way to Julian Rykov. Bit of a messy goal, that one. Alex Paulson gets beaten at that near post. That one a bit average, maybe. It took a deflection from one of our defenders, but 2 late goals here once we did try and change things up to try and grab an equaliser. And in the end, we're going to actually lose this one a little bit heavily. 3-0 to the Netherlands. A bit disappointing because those guys actually are ranked below the Ivory Coast. At least that was the case coming in to this tournament. Maybe editing the video off the back of yesterday's recording, that might have got rid of our good form, but hopefully we can pick it back up in the second round. But it does mean we might be taking on a stronger opponent than we otherwise would have, but hopefully, given our first team as a rest, they'll be fresh and ready to go for that second round. But unfortunately, that is a loss, our first one in quite a while here with the all-white sheet again. 3-0 against the Netherlands. We'll tell the guys a bit disappointing, even though it was a rotation team. Get through this post-match interview and just see what did happen in the other game from our group. There's a rough chance if the Ivory Coast beat Iraq by enough, they could still go through as one of the best third place qualifiers. But to be fair, we won't find out how that ends until a couple of days' time. But indeed, they beat Iraq 3-0, so maybe they can go through with that 0 goal differential. But we're definitely going through to the knockouts despite that loss to the Netherlands. We'll come back shortly and see who we're taking on in the second round. So a disappointing start there to today's episode, albeit in a game that didn't really mean that much apart from rankings going in to the second round. Here's how all the groups did finish up in this FIFA World Cup as the draws just come through for the second round. First up, Group A. 3 teams go through from this group. The hosts are not one of them. South Korea do not go through. Colombia, Nigeria, and then Bulgaria, they go through. Group B, another group where the third team did go through. So Portugal, Ecuador, and Syria all through the knockouts. Cameroon, who did actually have Kennedy Mahamadou from Kashmir Tech, they get knocked out with no points. Group C, France and Australia, the 2 teams who go through. Both Switzerland and Honduras, only with the 1 point, they are going home. Group D, Spain and Belgium go through with 7 points each. That's quite interesting considering we beat Belgium quite comfortably in the lead up to this tournament. Saudi Arabia and Burkina Faso, as you might expect, they go home. Group E, 3 teams go through in that one. Germany, Austria, and Iran. And somehow that's also the case in our group. The Ivory Coast just do enough against Iraq to go through. So my assessment before the tournament was correct. That if that was us, we could have got through, but thankfully beat the Ivory Coast. So hopefully that's going to mean an easier second round opponent for us. Group G, also 3 teams go through. Chile, Serbia, Mexico, Qatar. They end up with 0 points yet again at a World Cup. Group H, another group with 3 teams going through. Argentina, Ukraine, and Costa Rica. Surprisingly, Japan, they are out of the World Cup. Group I, Uruguay and USA go through. Tunisia, the right amount of points, but goal differential was just bettered by Ghana down in Group J, so they miss out alongside Slovakia. Also going through from Group J, Poland actually topped it, must have been Brazil. That's a bit of a surprise. That could be an interesting team to get in the second round, considering we beat them back in our first World Cup in the group stage. In Group K, Croatia and Sweden go through. UAE and Mali, they get knocked out. And it's actually Group L, which is the final one, but 3 teams go through from this one. Italy, Paraguay, and Egypt. Panama, they are going home. So thankfully, we are in the knockouts for a third straight World Cup here under my management, and we have had the draw for the second round. It's not a very good one. We take on Spain. Pain is what I'd say about that, because those guys did finish top of their group, so it feels a bit harsh considering they could have got someone who finished third in their group, really. And Spain are a pretty strong team. They are ranked 7th in the world, so this is our toughest opponent so far at the World Cup. To be fair, not as strong as Brazil, who we did beat at the last World Cup, but a lot higher ranked than the Netherlands and even higher ranked than the Ivory Coast, albeit they did draw with Belgium in their group. And as I said before, we did beat Belgium in the lead up to this tournament, albeit not too sure how much you can read into the pre-tournament form. But Spain, that's who we've got in the second round. might not be making it as deep as we did at that last World Cup back in 2030. And the other news is that this game is in a different city. We are off to the Incheon Munhak Stadium. That is in Incheon, which I'm pretty sure is in the wider area of Seoul, because there's a Seoul Incheon airport. I'll just check that. I should really go ask my wife, considering she's South Korean, but we can do a bus trip before the second game, because it's probably going to be our last one, because we might end up in a bit of pain, seeing as we're playing Spain. And it's time for what could be our last bus trip here at this 2034 FIFA World Cup, only the two potentially, because blimmin' Spain in the second round, but we're going to get a bus trip and seeing as we have made the move almost to the big city. Now, to be fair, this is actually quite close to the airport. The airport is over there on the left-hand side. Once I make my way over to the other map, that's what I'm looking for. Seoul's over there. I was kind of hoping we'd end up there, because I went there last year and have a better idea about what's near the town and also the football stadium. Could have done a bit of a fried chicken tour. I didn't actually see as much of the Incheon area, but indeed, that was the airport that I flew into. There's the international airport over there. Lots of big bridges you can go over, get into Seoul itself. This time we are going to the right hand side and making our way to Incheon itself. And I've found a pretty decent hotel at quite a cheap price. As you can see, not too far away from the ground. It is about 1.5 kilometers away. Yet again, apparently subway is the best way to make your way to the ground, but I'm pretty sure we can do a bit of a bus trip here and make our way to this one, especially as this time it is a real stadium, actually the one that we are playing at. But the hotel I've found no website, which is a bit dodgy considering this looks like an absolute steal. $55 a night to stay at the Hotel Banwol, and it looks pretty decent for $55 a night. New Zealand football, you are welcome. They've got massage chairs. They have really good massage chairs over in South Korea. If only I had the money and the baggage allowance to bring one back. But you can see there, for 55 New Zealand dollars a night, that looks like a pretty good hotel. So that's where we're going to be staying here with the All Whites. Won't spend too much of the FIFA allowance just in case. We can spend some of it on the booze after this game if we do get knocked out, as is probably expected. But this looks like a pretty decent hotel, as I said, for 55 New Zealand dollars a night. Not sure what sort of room you get for that, but this looks pretty decent. That's the hotel that we are staying at here with the All Whites for our second trip in this World Cup. And as you saw before, not the longest trip, only about 1.5 kilometers to the ground. So we're going to start here by trying to get a look at the outside of the hotel. Hopefully this will work. And thankfully it does. So here's where we're starting off here. There's the hotel that we are staying at here in Incheon. There's a little bit around it, but to be fair, not too sure what some of that stuff is. We're going to make our way here. I believe we want to go that way. So what we're going to do here is go down the road a little bit, then take a left-hand turn. And this already is not looking like a good idea, albeit this was all the way back in 2015. The construction should be done. That could really put us off here, as you've seen before on bus trips. Construction near the hotel, that can throw us off our teams, especially the All Whites. That happened for a game in Dunedin, but we'll make our way past the construction and hopefully actually start to see some cool stuff soon in Incheon in the second bus trip of this 2034 World Cup. And thankfully we've made our way past the construction. I'm now on a proper road here. Just going to go in front of what I think there is a police car. Thankfully it hasn't seen us now, stuck behind a bus of all things, but we're going to make our way here down the road. Just going to try and spot some interesting things which might be popping up. I say spot. Yeah, my South Korean's not that great, so we're going to see how we get on here. I do think though nearby there is a pretty big shopping mall, and again we've run into some construction, but going back briefly the year before 2015, back to 2018 this was, I did see an E-Mart. That's a pretty decent supermarket slash tech shop over in South Korea. They have all sorts. If you're over there, that's quite a good place to go shopping. But I think we might be about to hit a dead end. Trying to figure out how to get to the next part for this bus trip. And I think we're now back on track, still stuck behind a bus, albeit this time it's number 21, not number 40 something. Go past a coffee shop. Lots of those in South Korea. They love their coffee, but there are some really nice shakes in some of them. Cookies and cream one. I had one even when I had COVID over there. It was blimmin' delicious, but we'll make our way here down the road and just see what else we can find here on our way to the stadium in Incheon. We'll just run here through an actual green light, so we're on the right here. Let's continue to make our way down this road if we can. I'll just adjust here to make sure I am going in the right direction. Thankfully, that is the case as we go past there. A clothes shop, I think it looked like. There's a clothes symbol there. That must be a clothes shop. So far, no signs of any fried chicken, which is a bit disappointing because seriously, it makes KFC taste like dog poop. But going forward a bit more, let's just see what else there is. Boy, there's lots of buses on the way to this game. They're all amped up here, the South Koreans, for this clash between Spain and New Zealand, because of course you would be two heavyweights of world football. Which, making our way here down the road a bit more, somewhere nearby is a home goods store. That might be it there. Lots of LG products, especially seeing as they get made in South Korea. But going down the road a little bit more, let's see what else might pop up here on our way before we have to make a left-hand turn towards the ground, which I don't actually know if we can make. Another coffee shop. As I said, South Koreans, they do quite like their coffee, so we'll just go down the road here a little bit more, see if anything else interesting does pop up as we're stuck behind yet another bus. All the buses here in Incheon, it would appear, as we go down the road a little bit more, and so far not too much interesting. There's a bridge there that's going over the road. That looks kind of cool, but we'll go here under that bridge. Even more buses. Goodness me, there must be some people really into this game that's about to take place at the World Cup. Hopefully we can make it worth their while. That's a dessert cafe. I went past one of those in Central Seoul. Didn't go in there, but boy, it looked yummy. But being diabetic, it was probably not the best idea, so I skipped that one over the road. That is I imagine a mall, a closed mall, but it's a bit hard to tell. I'm not too familiar with that name. I thought there might be a Lotte department mall somewhere on our way to this place, and that's definitely a bit of duty-free shopping before you go back to wherever you come from South Korea. But just making our way here down the road, we'll see if anything else interesting pops up before we have to make that left-hand turn. And the answer to that question was no, so now it's time for us here to take a left-hand turn going down the wrong side of the road. Just going to ram through that bus there, and now we're getting a little bit closer to the stadium, albeit I think we've still got a little way to go. This does feel like a pretty long 1.5 kilometer journey, but as you can see on this part of the trip, quite a bit of greenery either side of the road, albeit still very much centre of a decently sized part here of South Korea. But at the moment, just making our way through a couple of cafes and some sort of dairy-like shops here, so we'll just go down a bit more until something a bit more interesting does pop up. And the scenery didn't change too much as we made our way down that road, so now it's time for us here to take a right-hand turn as a motorbike goes past my place in real life. Slim and loud motorbikes, but we'll make our way here down this road. To be here now, don't think we're getting that far off from the turn-off to make our way to the Incheon Munhak Stadium. In fact, that might be it there on the left-hand side in the distance, albeit it probably depends when these pictures are being taken, but I think that might be it there. Let's see if we can find an entrance to this, considering it says that we can't actually drive into it. So let's see how we might be able to find our way into the stadium for our first knockout game of this World Cup, which could also be our last one. And in fact, that might be a shopping mall. So I think we need to keep going here down the road a little bit more. A shopping mall near the stadium, I suppose. That does make sense. But I think coming up here on the left-hand side, let's just pull this map over and see. We're supposed to do some walking across there to get to the stadium. I'm going to try and find a way to actually get a better look at the stadium from the road itself. And I officially have no idea what it was we drove past before, because it definitely doesn't look like a mall. It looks like some sort of sports stadium. But here, I've discovered the Incheon Children's Museum. A museum for children, I'm guessing, but nearby in that direction should be the stadium we're playing this World Cup game at. Hopefully, if I click on the right button here, we can actually get a decent look at the stadium itself, albeit looks like that might not be the case. So I think this is the closest that we can get to the stadium in Google Maps. Let's just switch over here to this and see the photos that we can bring up. This looks like a nice football stadium. Looks a bit better than the steel yard that we saw yesterday in Pohang, where we weren't actually supposed to be playing. But there's the inside of it. Does almost look like an oval shape from that view. Might be used a bit for baseball as compared to football, but there you can see some of the stands does look like it's got a bit of an Olympics feel with the running track around the outside. There's the outside of it. it looks quite nice. Decent stadium over there. In Incheon, South Korea, there were some random trophies being shown for some reason. There's another view of the outside of the ground. Half marathon from last year, so definitely this does get used quite a bit for athletics and whatnot. No brand burger. Not sure if that's nice. That's the first time I've seen that one in my South Korean travels. There's a light show or maybe a nitro circus kind of thing happening at that stadium. To be fair, I'm hoping that might be the warm-up ground because that doesn't look too great in terms of the pitch condition. There's some K-pop going on. Hopefully you've enjoyed that while we've been able to do it here for these South Korean trips, because I'm not too sure if we're going to beat Spain in this next game, but I'm pretty sure those are all the photos from around the stadium. There's one of the inside. It's not too great. Limited photo options here for this Incheon Stadium, but that's where we're playing this knockout game at the World Cup. Hopefully we can pull off an upset and make our way through to the round of 16. And here are the team sheets for the second round clash at the World Cup. First up, us, it's our first choice 11, but Tyler Binden starts at centre back alongside Simon Curtis, the old pairing we had going into this tournament. That's because the other centre backs are a little bit tight. Also, Hall Jones picked up a yellow card in that Netherlands game, so he is suspended. So we've got one less player on the bench, but Spain come into this one in some good form, some big names in that team, but hopefully we can pull off an upset and make our way through to that round of 16. And 10 minutes into this one, Spain so far have been all over us in this game, 3 shots to none, but thankfully so far none on target, and we have a goal kick here. We take it short and try and make our way out from the back. Louis Evans plays that one back to Tyler Binden. Hopefully that big match experience from his time at Wolves in the Premier League might be quite useful for us here. As I say that, the Wolves actually play big games in the Premier League. I'm not too sure, but we are now on the attack. Lovely ball there from Pickering for George McDonald. Slots him through. Big chance he was onside, but unfortunately that comes off the woodwork. Score that. That would have been a big help early, but unfortunately still 0-0. And it's been a very quiet first half so far. Highlights-wise, actually a throw-in for us here inside the final third. Unfortunately, couldn't put that chance away early. Hopefully, might be able to here. Justin Keat goes down. No foul. That potentially could have been a penalty. I've seen a lot worse than that given in the FM this year, but apparently that was a clean tackle. And Vera gets Spain here into our half. Hopefully, this won't end up being a goal. That could have been one down the other end. Good interception there from Curtis. And now McDonald with a chance to make up for that earlier miss, which came off the post, but that a loose touch and lots of space there. I think that would have been for Justin Keat down our right-hand side as well. Really good chance there on the overlap on the counter-attack. Unfortunately, can't make the most of it so far. George McDonald, not quite his best. And Yamal there just does Darman at right back. Spain here a bit fortunate to keep hold of the ball. Eventually, they find Ansu Fati, who puts that one top left corner. It does feel like a pretty unlucky goal to concede, but unfortunately, George McDonald so far could have had the chance there to maybe put us 2-0 up so far in this game, get us going on the counter-attack, and also score that goal from earlier on, but unfortunately gave up possession there, and Spain do us on the counter-attack. Darman got made to look silly by Yamal, a few tackles. Unfortunately, they kept hold of the ball, and it looks like we might be going to half-time here, 1-0 down, but to be fair, I think we have the chance to come back from this in the second half, albeit Justin Keat on a 6.3. That does feel a bit harsh, him being on the lowest rating, but I think that's a sub we're going to make here going into the second half. But so far, Spain definitely been the better team, but big chance early on. Unfortunately, George McDonald couldn't quite put the ball in the back of the net, so we're going to make that one sub. Keat will come off, and that will be for Chris Jones, but I think going to just keep things in reserve here for the second half, save some subs up for that just in case we need to press the panic button if we go down by any more than the one goal currently, but we're doing okay, just hopefully a bit more clinical in the second half, because currently might be on the way back to Kashmir Tech as we're 1-0 behind. And just about to make our way up to the hour mark in this game. So far, no highlights in the second half, but Michael Cornelius Beale has gone down to a red heart, so time to make our second sub here. We'll bring on Stamanic in his place. Also, Josh Pickering on a yellow card. We'll play things safe as well, take him off for Adam White. And we're going to put all our wingers onto attack now as well as the wingbacks. Also, we might go a bit wider with our width. Do this stuff early just to see if it might help us grab a goal back in this game, considering that it is a knockout one. But unfortunately, we're still 1-0 down. And not even 5 minutes on from those subs that we did make. Now it's time for our last couple here, because 2 players at the back are down, 2 red hearts, Darman as well as Curtis. We're going to bring on Sono at right back. And I think it's going to be Ryan Billingsley for Simon Curtis, even though He did pick up a red card against Iraq. Hopefully he won't do that again, because that really would stuff things up in this one. Also, I think it's now time for us to go full out attack, be more expressive, and also switch to a higher defensive line as we try and grab an equaliser with 25 minutes left. And unfortunately, there's still been no highlights in the second half, so that slightly fluky goal which Spain did score late in the first half is the deciding factor so far. Now it's time for us to go all out attack. Evans on support. We'll bust out the liberos. Let's see if that makes a difference. Also, might switch to some shorter passing instead of the usual standard. Distribute quickly. To be fair, we've done about everything else that we can do going into the last 10 minutes of this game. Let's hope at least we can find an equaliser to take this one to extra time. And we're just making our way into the last 5 minutes of this game, and unfortunately nothing working for us off the back of that early chance which did fall to George McDonald. Now it's time for us here to go a bit more direct with our passing, just see if that does anything. But unfortunately Spain have somewhat shut up shop off the back of that goal they did score in the first half through Ansu Fati. And to be fair, we didn't do a heck of a lot in that game. 7 shots with only 2 on target. Big chance early for George McDonald. It came off the woodwork. Spain with a little bit of a messy goal, but like we could have broken that one up, and also potentially a penalty shot for Justin Keat down the other end from which the highlight did start. But unfortunately, we kept it close against the 7th best team in the world, which isn't too bad. But that felt like a bit of a harsh draw after finishing second with 6 points in our group, and we get knocked out in the second round of this 2024 FIFA World Cup. No more South Korean bus trips as we lose 1-0 to Spain. So unfortunately that will do it for our time at this 2034 FIFA World Cup. I was hoping we might be able to sneak our way into the round of 16 and maybe again into the quarterfinals like we did last time around. But unfortunately this time around that is not the case. Same result as we got back at our first World Cup. So actually a bit of a regression there. But I feel like that might have more to do with the fact we played Spain this early in the tournament. Apparently some concerns raised because that was a poor showing. That seems a bit harsh considering that we are the 34th best team in the world. Bit of a drop for us there off the back of that loss. But there are only 32 teams in the second round. I still feel like we're doing okay here with this All Whites team having made the knockouts of 3 straight World Cups. But unfortunately, not quite as big a rise in the world rankings off the back of our time at that World Cup as compared to the last couple. But hopefully, a good sustained period around this part of the world rankings might mean that soon we could get an upgrade in that youth rating. That would be quite nice indeed in terms of some of the players that might come through, some teams in particular like the Wellington Phoenix and their youth intakes. But unfortunately, that will do it, as I said, for this World Cup, being knocked out in the second round by Spain. If you enjoyed it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. Tomorrow, I guess we'll come back, show you guys what happened in the rest of the tournament, and then get back into some Kashmir Tech stuff, albeit we're currently in the Southern League for a bit, and then go on a massive break. So unfortunately, you might get some pretty average episodes for the rest of this week. That's why I was hoping we might go a bit deeper at that World Cup. But if we can't do some interesting Southern League games, might be able to find an interesting bus trip in the Chatham Cup. But until tomorrow, we're going to be back at Kashmir Tech and can wrap up what happened in the later stages of that World Cup. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.